Plaid connects your application to thousands and thousands of financial institutions to help you with everything from account verification and money movement to making smarter lending decisions. And like a lot of applications these days, your most popular platform might be a mobile device. So the first thing to understand about using Plaid on iOS is that nearly all the communication you'll perform with Plaid is done server-side. The exception to this is when your user needs to talk to Plaid directly, either to help sign into their bank or provide details for a product like identity verification. That needs to be done on the client. And to help you with that, we provide a UI widget called Link. To get started with Link, install the Link Kit library. You can do this through CocoaPods or the Swift Package Manager in Xcode. Next, have your application request a link token from your server. Your server will talk to the Plaid service to request this token. This is where you'll provide information about how you want the link session to behave, including what products you want to require. When you get a link token from the Plaid service, pass this along to your client. On your client, create a link token configuration object. This object will include the link token you just received, as well as a callback handler for when the user successfully completes Link. More on this later. You can also add callbacks when the user exits out of Link early and when they hit intermediate steps in the Link process. This is good for analytics purposes and tracking conversion metrics. Next, call Plaid create, passing along the link configuration object you just created. This will return a result type object, and in the case of success, that will include a handler that you can use to open Link. Make sure to keep this in memory by setting it to a property in your class. There's a couple of ways to open Link from here, but the most common is to simply call openPresent using with view controller self. Your user will then go through the Link process, potentially signing into their financial institution, agreeing to share their information with your app, and performing other steps depending on the products you're using. If the bank supports OAuth, Link will present the bank's login screen as an AS web authentication session on top of your application. And while this works fine, with some banks you can send users directly to the bank's native app where they can log in using something like Face ID before heading back to yours. This is known as the app-to-app flow. To support this on iOS, you'll need to support universal links if you haven't yet. To do this, create or add an Apple App Site Association file where you define a path that directs people back to your native app. Publish it on your website, at the root, or in the well-known subdirectory. Next, make sure your app supports incoming universal links by adding the associated domains capability and then adding applinks: with the domain of your site. You can then test out your universal link by trying to open up a URL belonging to that path that you specified earlier. It's probably easiest to test this by running this xcrun command against the simulator. If everything has gone well, iOS should open up your app instead of going to a browser. Once you have universal links working, add this URL to the Plaid dashboard so we know it's legitimate. Then you can specify this redirect URL when you first create a link token. From then on, if Plaid detects that your user is trying to connect to a bank that supports this app-to-app flow, it will open up that bank's native app if it's available. Whether you're using Links UI, OAuth, or app-to-app, once the user has successfully completed the process and you're all done, you can grab the public token that gets passed back to you in the completion handler. This short-lived public token has only one purpose, and that's for your client to send it down to your server, where your server can then pass it back to Plaid in exchange for an access token. Store this access token on your server. From then on, anytime you want to request data on behalf of your user, you'll often do so by sending along that access token, whether that's to fetch transaction data, get real-time account balances, or generate asset reports. This has been Plaid on iOS in 3 minutes. If you want a much deeper dive into implementing Plaid on iOS, we have an entire video tutorial for you, or check out the documentation for the most up-to-date information. Happy plaiding!